Good morning, and thank you for staying with us. Switching lanes now to look at what's going on in Imo State preparations for the governorship elections, which are around the corner, and all the activities of campaigning and all of that. To help us see what's happening, preparations for the elections, insecurity, and allegations against parties of a sponsorship of insecurity. We have Gozie Nwachukwu, who is the Director of Administration and spokesperson of the Imo State PDP 2023 Governorship Campaign Organization, and he joins us via Zoom. Mr. Nwachukwu, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start off real quick here, and that matter of preparations for the elections in Imo State, how's that going for you and your party?
Well, for us, we've sort of taken the bull by the horn, because despite the very nagging and very serious security challenges in the state, we've taken off and we've been able to go around the LGAs to try to do an on-the-spot assessment of the state of things in the LGA and try to bring our message of making Imo safe again to our people, a message of bringing safety of lives and property back to the state, restoring safety of lives and property back to the state, and then also prosperity. So we've been able to conclude our LGA tours, and we're also commencing our engagements in groups, town hall meetings, and also trying to be careful in order not to be caught up in the whole security milieu.
You know, in this submission, this few seconds that you've made your submission here, you've mentioned the word insecurity about 3 times. Are you not painting a dire picture? If it's so bad, why should elections even take place?
Yes, what has happened is that if you ever saw the inter-society group reports of April, May, and June, you could see that in Imo State in the last 2 years, the last 3 years, close to 300 persons have been killed in this state, over 500 persons missing, and that's a warlike situation, because even in some enclaves where you have wars, that will compete for numbers. What has happened in this state is that I believe that most of what has gone on here is nationally underreported. Because if you go to places like Uguta local government, Ohajebema local government, places like Osu local government, Oru East local government, where the governor Uzodimma comes from, Olu local government, most of those local governments, you can practically have most of the community's life. Most of the people have vacated their homes. Most of them, their homes are burnt. They've been displaced. And that's the truth of the matter. Okigwe local government, about 5 of the 11 wards in those areas would hardly have people there, Igube, Amoro, and so on. If you go to Onimo local government, the same. What has happened is that we're bringing this to the fore because during the last elections, in these areas where you didn't have people, humongous figures and results of election emanated from those areas. I'll give you one example. In some place, if you look at the Beavers reports, the Beavers accreditation reports from certain places like Umuhu Primary School, I want to be specific. Umuhu Primary School is a polling unit in Oru East local government. The Beavers report, supplied by INEC, certified by INEC, shows that in that polling unit, there were 0 allocations. But in that polling unit, APC was given about 375 votes. You go to a place like Okigwe local government. In Okigwe local government, during the National Assembly and presidential elections, you see a situation where the total accreditation was about 2,403. Total accreditation for Okigwe local government. But the APC candidate scored over about 40,300 votes. in one local government, where the total accreditation was 2,000 something. So what has happened is that some people have profited electorally from this security in Imo State. And that is why we're coming to bring it to the fore for INEC to tell us how did this happen, and for it to be forestalled. Because you can have a situation where in areas like Osu local government, where the whole police units in the whole of the local government were brought to the local government headquarters. Where were you going to get people from all the wards and communities and police units to come
from
to only a place?
What you're saying here, Mr. Nwachukwu, is that the allegations that some of you are the ones from the opposition party are the ones sponsoring this insecurity. Do you deny that?
Of course. I mean, even denial is an understatement. Denial is an understatement. I want to give you a little bit of a historical perspective of these phantom accusations. By 2021, when this governor came in, first of all, he accused, in 2020, to be precise, he accused the former governor of the state, Rocha Sokoroche, of being responsible for insecurity, even molested him at some point. Where has that got? Not even an indictment, nothing to it. In fact, by December 2020, he said by January 2021 on the 3rd that he was going to announce to Nigerians, those who are responsible for insecurity in Imo State, till date, that January 3rd, January 3rd, and his announcement is yet to come. At some point, Uche Nwosu, the former chief of staff in Imo State governor, and the former candidate of the APC in Imo State, who actually had the ticket which he's using today to sit as governor, was even abducted. He was abducted from an Anglican church in Nkwere, where he was holding his mother's outing service after burying her. He was abducted from that church on the guise of insecurity. Today, where has that gotten? No indictments, nothing. After that, he moved on. He said it was the former governor, the PDP gubernatorial candidate and governor, Emeki Hedion, and even Gerald Iron, the deputy governor. They were also arrested on trumped-up charges. Ikenga Imo Ugochinyere, the honorable member representing Idato North and South Federal constituency, at some point was accused by this same governor. Till date, no indictments. Till date, they're not even being charged for anything. So do you even take the man's accusations for anything? These things are just ways to paint the opposition black. The insecurity in Imo State partly is because of ineptitude of governance. I want to tell you what has happened. Ineptitude of governance. 2, some of it also is contrived. Some of what has gone on here is contrived. Some people are benefiting because you can't tell me there's no nexus. There's no nexus between the insecurity in Imo State and the humongous, phantom, funny figures that have emanated from some polling units where there are daring insecurity. People have benefited from it, and those persons that have benefited from it, there's what you call a presumption of guilt. The guilt lies with them to come and show now that if you benefit from a circumstance that shouldn't have been, and you're celebrating it, you should come and tell us why that should be. The primary duty of governance under the ground norm, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the protection of rights and property.
Since you talked about proof here, in our jurisprudence, if I do remember correctly, is he who accuses that has the right to prove. So you have done some accusations here. So do you have proof?
Yes. The proof I've laid on the table. The proof I've laid on the table is circumstantial proof. What are the circumstantial proof now? That somebody has profited from an incident. It's like somebody who profits from the process of crime. Somebody who profits from the process of crime is also deemed to be part of the crime. I am saying categorically that the All Progressive Congress in Imo State and the governor himself and his party in Okigwe Senate, in Olu Senate, in most of the federal constituencies, Olu Federal constituency, to be very precise, in 24 out of the 27 local government state constituency in the Imo State election, and they profited from the insecurity in the state. And I am saying now that the onus has moved from me. But I am saying, if a Beaver's accreditation shows that the total accreditation is 2,400 and something, and somebody has 40,000 in that place, come on, this person has to come and explain to us what happened. What magic happened?
Mr. Nwachukwu, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You're a father. Would you, in your house, for instance, set your house on fire just to annoy your neighbor?
Don't contextually. I need to get what you mean by that, because
I'm asking the question because of what you said, that you put out circumstantial proof and all of that. So that's what I'm saying. Would you, as a father, set your house on fire to annoy maybe your neighbor who's trying to come in?
Yes, let me tell you what has happened. No father, because the context you have brought is not really akin to what has happened in Imo. Number one, the governor of the state and the party in power are not fathers in any way. This is, for them, this is a game of power. And power is about the end justifying the means. They have exercised the levers of power like totalitarian rulers. They don't have the qualities of a father. A father has empathy. Come and look at what is going on in Imo State. Come and look at the place. Come and look at the civil service. Come and look at the infrastructure. Let me ask you a question. Which father starves his people, his sons? Even the Holy Scriptures says that which father, which son will ask for bread from the father and he gives him a snake? The governor of Imo State, since January 2020, when he came in, this government has received, let me just deal with local government allocations. This government has received over 100 billion. They receive an average of 2.3 to 2.4 billion monthly as local government allocations in Imo State. I want you to take a tour of those 27 local governments and show me if there's any semblance of a father who has managed the resources of his state. Okay. We don't have a father ruling over this state.
All right, Mr. Nwachukwu, we will take a moment and we'll come back to this conversation. And hopefully we'll have someone representing the Imo State governor here to respond to some of the things you said. We'll be back in a moment. Please don't go away. Welcome back. We still have Mr. Nwachukwu, Gozie Nwachukwu, Director of Administration and Spokesperson of the Imo State Governorship Campaign 2023, joining us virtually from Owerri, the Imo State capital. Mr. Nwachukwu, you've talked about the fact that since this government started out, they've not really done much, and they received over 100 billion. That's according to you, they received over 100 billion, and they've not done much, especially in the local government areas. What would you say that your party did all the while you were there before the APC took over?
Okay, let me give that. First of all, when our party were in power, the local government system in Imo State was functioning. What do you mean by function? When you get to look at government system, you see staffs, you see the offices up and running, you see rural health centers being rehabilitated, renovated, you see some local roads being rehabilitated, you also see some water schemes at that level being done. I can tell you that whatever you see in infrastructural development in any of the states in Imo State were majorly put in place by the PDP governments, successive ones that were in Imo State. I can also tell you that when you had the Rocha Sokorocha government of 8 years, when he had the community governance, there were semblance of governance. He tried to bring government a little bit to the people, to the masses. And with that, the masses were able to be asked to identify the areas they wanted government to intervene. And a few of those things were also done, which goes to show that government is a continuum. But I'm saying that since this present government came in, all the things that, first of all, the effective PDP government of May 2019 to January 2020, there were the Rural Roads Project, the World Bank Rural Roads Project, which was started by the government of my party then. This project had over 30 roads over 30 roads being constructed, rural roads around Imo State. I also want to, and I challenge this government, go back and check if that project continued after this government.
All right, Mr. Nwachukwu. Mr. Nwachukwu, I'll just ask you to hold on a bit there. We have been joined in our Lagos studio by Mr. Jerry Chukwueke, who's a special assistant to SA to the Imo State Governor on New Imo. Mr. Chukwueke, thank you for joining us. If you can hear me, let me just put in this question to you. I'm sure you've been listening to the conversation and some of the things that have been said by Mr. Nwachukwu about the administration of Senator Hope Uzodinma in Imo State. The last one he talked about is the fact that before his party handed over, there was a World Bank project that had about 30 roads, and he says that project hasn't continued. But majorly, he's talked about the insecurity in the state and how your party and inadvertently the governor is the major person behind this whole insecurity in Imo State. What do you have to say about this?
Well, thank you for having me. First, let me just be clear. I am the Chief Technical Advisor to the Governor on New Imo project. New Imo is about a 10-year economic and social development plan for Imo State. I just wanted to clear that. Now, let me make a couple of comments. I've listened carefully to what the gentleman was talking about. I don't know which Imo he's actually talking about. First of all, the numbers show that the PDP party he's talking about, that about a third of their members have left them and joined our party and our governor. In fact, virtually all the members of their state executive council, state executive management of their party, resigned en masse and joined the Governor Hope Uzodinma's re-election campaign, and are now members of the APC. Furthermore, virtually all members of the PDP that were members of the National Assembly in the House of Representatives all resigned and joined the APC and Governor Hope Uzodinma's re-election campaign. Let me go further. Our current gubernatorial candidate for the APC and her husband, Mrs. Chinyere Kumaro, her husband, who was a very active until a few months ago member of the PDP, and in fact a former gubernatorial candidate of that party, is now one of us. And she came from the outside of the immediate APC family and has joined and is now the deputy gubernatorial candidate of our party. Why do I make this point? It is because the political, so-called political structures and oppositions have collapsed. Where they were working together about Imo State. We're Imo-centric. It's about Imo development. I can run some numbers for you. I don't know which Imo he's talking about, but all you have to go is check with the airlines. All the flights coming to Owerri are full. Going in and coming out. Look at the hotels. An occupancy rate, very high. Not only more robust, but in fact, increasing by day.
How about the insecurity issues that he mentioned?
I'm coming to that in a minute.
Okay.
In fact, when you look at the Owerri Capital Territory, and it's the 7-8 kilometers radius of the inner city, the applications for land allocation is so high that there's no land to be gotten. Our local people in the Owerri Capital Territory are now complaining about the pressure on their land because more and more people want to move to Imo and have made such requests and are building residentials all over the place. A comment about insecurity. We know that what's happening here is second-tier, second-11 politics of the PDP. They are scared, terribly scared, traumatized about the shameful loss, embarrassing loss they're about to experience. And so all of this talk about insecurity, we bring it down to this. If Imo were insecure, like they're talking about. And they have their magic wine. And they're waiting for, after this pipe dream victory they believe they will have. And I don't know which century that pipe dream will happen. Now, if they believe that that were the case, and they're waiting for after November the 11th, why don't they trigger that? Just trigger the solution now, for the sake of Imo people. This just optics of a political talk that is essentially a desperate one, looking for, if you would, how they save themselves from the calamity that is about to befall them. But let's go to security, insecurity.
Yeah.
Today in Imo State, there is more and more peace and quiet. In fact, our great governor has made some adjustments, working clearly with the security agencies about increasing confidence in Imo. Those security agents are now patrolling in the local government and rural areas, not roadblocks, not checkpoints, but actual patrols. So more and more Imolites are growing in confidence and going about their business, and Imo is moving forward. I talk about it some more. If you look at the numbers, what we've seen in political violence in Imo, to the extent we've seen it, is that vast majority of the victims and those that are being threatened are members of the APC or supporters or perceived supporters of Governor Hope Uzodimma. So what is the issue here?
But the PDP, pardon me if I may come in there, the PDP also has concerns about attacks on some of its members. For instance, Honorable Ugo Chinyere, whose election was recently upturned by the tribunal representing Idiato. There was an attack on his home in January, I believe. The PDP is also talking about attempts to intimidate a deputy governorship candidate of their party, Dr. Onyereri. So how do you explain this? Because the PDP is pointing accusing fingers at the APC in Imo State.
First of all, my friend Ugo Chinyere and the issue of his election and what's happened at the tribunal, I'm sure you know, has nothing to do with Governor Hope Uzodimma. It has to do with the issue, my understanding of it, of where the election was conducted and if it did happen within his federal constituency. We'll put that aside. We've had accusations of some intimidation and violence. But there is no evidence that this had anything to do with Governor Hope Uzodimma. Let me give you an example of one of the federal immediate past members of the National Assembly from Osun local government in Imo. Honorable Jerry Alabosa was of the PDP, and all the many years he was a member of the PDP, he was fine. Nobody attacked his home. Nobody sought after him in his local government. The moment he decamped, resigned from the PDP and joined our party and is supporting Governor Hope Uzodimma, his house was burned down. This is what we're seeing. I'll give you another example. You mentioned former Chief of Staff to Governor Rochas Okorocha, Mr. Uchenwosu, Chief Uchenwosu. The fact is that Chief Uchenwosu today is actively supporting the re-election campaign of Governor Hope Uzodimma. This is what we're talking about. What's attracting all of these people to this man we call our great governor? It has to do with the incredible developmental strides and opportunities that have been fully harnessed in Imo State, in road infrastructure, high quality roads with drainage and street lights, education strengthened, rural government. He was talking about local governments. As we speak, construction work and road construction, 5-kilometer roads per ward of the 305 wards in Imo is about 70% completed. Out of the 305 wards in Imo, we have 267 functional primary health care going on in Imo State.
We'll get to all of that. I'd like you to also respond to one of Mr. Nwachukwu's concerns, which is about the discrepancies in the number of accredited voters in some local government, Okigwe and Osu, particularly during the presidential and National Assembly elections. How do you weigh in on this?
Well, you have to talk to INEC about that. What we do know is that The work our great governor is doing is absolutely there for all to see. That's what Imolites are enjoying. That is why, and it's, by the way, not just the PDP. Almost half of Labour in Imo State has joined the Governor Hopuzodinma's train of re-election. We are moving forward. Quite frankly, I'm not sure that the gentleman done quite...
Is it easy for you to ask INEC to make the explanation because the outcome of the results there favor your candidate? Perhaps if they didn't favor your candidate, you have the same concern.
You're asking me to give you details and specifics of what an umpire took responsibility to oversee. What's winning Governor Hope's support and votes in Imo is the work he's doing. And it is clear, Imo is a transformed state.
Okay.
So we have it in all aspects of Imo development, like I was mentioning, across the board.
Yes, let's ask, well, I'm pretty sure Mr. Nwachukwu would like to respond to some of the issues that you have raised. Yes, Mr. Nwachukwu, it sounds like a good number of things that you mentioned have been shut down. How do you respond?
No, they've not been shut down. What just happened is that Sajeri in the studio just tried to make up some defense for the lackluster performance of the man over the helm of affairs in the state. Let me tell you something. The only thing that he has said that is entirely correct is that there is pressure on land allocation in Owerri metropolis. And you know why? It is because of the insecurity in most of the hinterland. Almost the semi-urban Olo and Okigwe areas have been shut down. So most of the businesses there and the persons there are now moving into the capital city because they can't do their businesses in those areas anymore. I also want to talk about the issue of PDP officials and who are now moving into his party. I want to tell you something. What the governor has turned this political cycle into, the man is now campaigning with his projects. What is it? What has he done? There's a transfer season. What you have, like in the European football transfer season, he has opened that political and 2023 election transfer season in Imo State. It is now, politicians are for sale. People's words are now being known. People are being exchanged now for some aggrandizement. That is what you see. And I want to also tell you, when he says the whole executive moved, that is also false. 7 persons moved, not the whole executive. PDP in Imo State has a 17-man state working committee, a 17-man LGA working committee in the 27 local governments, a 17-man ward executive in the 305 wards, a 17-man working executive in the 4,758 wards in Imo State. Not one of these people have moved. Only those who want to be transferred, like you transfer people from Real Madrid to Barcelona. People are now moving in the other direction. We know what makes people to move, and that is what is happening. I also want to let you know that when you talk about insecurity, it says that Honorable Gerald Alaboso was never attacked because he was in the PDP. I also want to ask Algeria, Chief George Obiozo, the president of Ohanes Ndigo, whose house was also attacked. Was he also a member of the APC or PDP at any point? What was his house attacked? All the persons, Safo Dozurumba, the Ozurumba family from Osun local government, whose houses were burnt. I also want to ask you, is it because he left, he was removed as commissioner by your government? Was it why his house was also attacked? These houses you're talking about, is it restricted to only PDP or APC? I'm talking about more of the common man, of the ordinary citizens who can no longer go home to their homelands. That's what is important. Let me tell you.
Mr. Nwachukwu, pardon me there. Pardon me, Mr. Nwachukwu. He who alleges must prove. What evidence do you have to prove that indeed the governor has created a transfer window for politicians in Imo State ahead of the 2023 elections?
Yes. There's a video. There's a video which I could have sent it to you online now. There's a video that is trending. I will also make it available to channels where these officials of the PDP that he said that moved over to the APC. This former deputy chairman, the youth leader, I think the public secretary, the woman leader, and one other person, they were in a local bar where they were sort of having a feel of the evening and also under some, enjoying themselves and entertaining themselves. And they said in that video, oh, look at how we are now. Our days are now better. These things we are drinking here, we were not drinking it before. These things we are eating here, we are not eating it before. We are eating these things now because we have moved over to Hokus or the man, the APC. So what does that show you? Did they say they moved over because the man is doing well?
It's interesting that you raise these issues, Mr. Nwachukwu. It's interesting that you raise it this way, because the question that came to my mind when you began to mention those issues is, if your party was so formidable, would it be easy at all or possible at all for anyone to lure them away? But let me ask Mr. Chikwueke. He's raised some of these issues. I don't know if we can just focus on what the aspirations of your candidate is, and I'm pretty sure that Mr. Nwachukwu would also be. What are the aspirations of your
thank you.
60 seconds.
Thank you very much. What we're about to witness even more is the deepening of good governance in Imo State, because a solid foundation has been laid in education. Our great governor is attracted. The new Imo State University of Agriculture and Environmental Studies was able to ensure a 3 billion naira grant to build a solid foundation for the university's takeoff. He effectively recovered, and now the K.O. Mbadiwe University, fully functional. Not only that, what used to be Alvan Ikoku College of Education is now attracted federal presence.
So essentially, you're going to,
absolutely. So because education is key in Imo.
We're running out of time.
And I quickly move. Let me add something else.
We are completely out of time. I want to take on Mr. Nwachukwu very, very quickly also on that one. 30 seconds, Mr. Nwachukwu. Rather than demarcate, can you market? What is it that your candidate will be doing different that will make the lives of the people of Imo State better?
One, without security of lives and property, a governor and a government has no business in power. We want to restore security of lives and property, where our people can live peacefully, do their businesses, carry out their livelihoods. Without security of lives and property, you can't have proper education. If you go to most of the schools in Osun, Hadibam, and Dubuta, there are no spookies there. Most of the hotels in Imo, as I speak to you, are up for sale. Why? Because of low patronage. We want to bring prosperity back to the state.
So many other things that I'm pretty sure that we're going to be discussing in the coming months or days or weeks as the elections are coming. But Mr. Gozie Nwachukwu, Director of Administration and Spokesperson of the Imo State PDP 2023 campaign organization, thank you so much for your time, as well as Jerry Chikwueke SA to Imo Governor, technical advisor, you say?
Yes.
To the Imo State Governor on the new Imo project. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thank you.